Hey family, this is Cheryl Talley. I'm going to share a quick video on two topics close to my heart, personal health and generational wealth, and how a focused intention over the next 50 years will benefit our family. Let me explain. Have you ever heard of the blue zones? I learned about them from my cardiologist, Dr. Clifford Morris, who is also board certified in lifestyle medicine. One of the first things he did when I became his patient was to prescribe watching the documentary. Blue zones are places on Earth where people live to be over 100 years old with relatively good health, in numbers larger than in the general population. There are blue zones all over the world, including one in the U.S. What surprised me was that no matter where they lived, people in blue zones have certain things in common. Dr. Morris made up this acronym to help his patients put some of those things into practice in our own lives. Because my heart condition was serious, Dr. Morris focused on just two immediate needs, diet and mental and emotional stress. After 2 years, my heart is now stronger, strong enough to not need medication and to even train for a 5-day hike on the Appalachian Trail later this summer. It wasn't easy, but I did learn some things during my journey about the healing power of diet, exercise, and also getting enough rest and having a loving community and a meaningful life purpose. I shared some of my ideas with the Watts Family Foundation Board, and now I would like to share them with you. High stress and a bad diet kills people. The deadly combination of feeling overwhelmed by your circumstances or from being around toxic people or not feeling loved or safe causes your brain to send chemical signals that dampen your immune system. Add to that our toxic food culture, which surrounds us with delicious, convenient food made in factories. And we end up further weakening the defensive nutrients that come from the food closer to the natural state. Food that's grown in the ground. That's called whole food. This is a situation that Dr. Columbus Batiste, another cardiologist, describes in his Slave Food Project, where he defines enslavement to mean that we Americans, not just Black Americans, but all Americans, are being trained to choose artificial taste over natural nutrition. He doesn't call it a conspiracy, but he does point out that the manipulation of nutrition for profit and power has the unintended consequence of making us, as a society, sick. So what has money got to do with this? Well, sickness is expensive. And if a preventable health condition stops you from earning a wage or requires money to be used for health care instead of college or a business startup or a home purchase, then money does have something to do with it. So let's flip the script and talk a little bit about health. Financial health and physical health run on the same exact fuel: discipline, consistency, and sacrifice, practiced day after day over decades. Nobody gets a healthy heart from one good week of eating right. Nobody builds wealth from one good month of saving. Both health and wealth require the same discipline aimed at different parts of the same life. So, since we are serious about improving personal health and growing generational wealth in this family, I'm putting out a challenge that by 2073, when the Watts family reunion celebrates 100 years, that members of the Watts family will be a little like the blue zones, better than the national average in both health statistics and wealth statistics. I'll be gone on the glory, as my grandma Francine would say, but in order to reach that goal, we will have to be like Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Lottie, who didn't sit under the shade of the tree they planted. We must now plant seeds for this future. There are many ways to increase wealth. Owning a business is one way, but not everyone has an entrepreneurial mindset like Cousin Robert Butler or Zach Branch or Brittany Hamilton Black. They all created side hustles based on their own creativity and interests. I'm sure that there are other young people in our family like them, but imagine if in 2073 a young person with an idea could get a few $1,000s as capital, as a gift from this family. Imagine what kinds of startups could be created. Another way to build wealth is by investment income. So if we're going to help those young people with those startups, we could do it by investing. Now, I'm not suggesting that we hire a financial advisor. That costs money, and they are not likely to want an entire family as large as this to be a client. But slow, systematic investing for a long time is something that can be learned, and we can learn it together and teach our own young people about financial literacy while we're at it. Since we are aiming to be a wealthier family in 50 years, we have the gift of time. And it is that gift of time and consistency and compound interest that leads to wealth creation. So I asked Claude, the AI that I use, what would have happened if Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Lottie had started an investment account in July of 1973 and invested $25 a month until July 2026 without ever raising the amount and without ever taking any money out. The total amount invested over all of this time would be around $16,000. But the value of the investment, conservatively, would now be over $200,000. That's just one account. So imagine if at the 2073 reunion, when maybe Aiden or Austin or Cece or Vita or Amma or Amin are running the business meeting and they all had investments accounts. They are in high school now, but they will be retired then. That's the kind of business they will be discussing. What do we do with all this investment income? This is not hard for me to imagine. I was in high school in 1973, and now I'm retired. Those of us who were there in 1973 have collected so much wisdom. We can share about how to handle money and how not to handle money. But if we trained our young people collectively, they could train each other and help each other grow. And soon we would have enough financial expertise within our own family. It would actually be better than blue zones. It would be like green zones. So here's our idea. It's called EGGS. E.G.G.S.S. It stands for Earn, Give, Grow, Save, and Spend. It's money management made simple enough for even a young student to understand. I know this because my grandson Miles was the first one I taught this to, and he just turned 10. Earn means you develop your own skills so that people will trade their money for your time and talent. With the money you earn, you set aside some for giving to the less fortunate, some for growing or investing, and some for saving for a rainy day. Spending is last, and even that you do from a plan. So, if you think that the Eggs Investment Club idea is a good one and you want to learn more, we can talk about it on a Zoom call. The monthly call structure and how your contribution supports both the mentee's investment account and the next reunion fund will be explained in a future newsletter. So I didn't get to talk about the other initiative, Health by Habit. It focuses on a whole food plant-based diet and introduces a plant powder called Juice Plus Superfood. Talk to me if you want to hear more about that. I even have a few samples to give out because I'm trying to become more entrepreneurial myself. You know, that's what I hope somebody will remember about me. And Cousin Cheryl used to say, you are never too old to learn something new.